think we're ready. Okay, it's you. We can begin. Before we begin the meeting formally, could I please ask attendees in the room to put your phones on silent, if that's okay. Interpretation is available during the meeting via Wordly AI. If you'd like to make use of interpretation into text, go to the link on your screen and click Attend. You'll also see a message within the Lumi platform with a link. Select the language you require for translation.
Hello, bonjour, welcome, bienvenue to the 2026 IFLA General Assembly. I'm joining you from Ottawa, which is built on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, whose presence on this land reaches back to time immemorial. We have some members in the auditorium in The Hague, as well as joining virtually via our meeting platform and observing via IFLA's YouTube channel. Members from over 92 countries have registered for this meeting. The hybrid option we are using allows for the greatest numbers of members to take part. The meeting platform allows voting members to hear the motions, listen to the discussion, ask questions, and then vote in real time when asked to do so. I ask our members in the room and online to ensure that you have used your voting credentials to log into the meeting platform to follow the meeting. When you are asked to vote, your voting options will be shown on your device. This year, the details of registered voting members, their proxies, and their weighted votes have been provided to the meeting platform company Lumi, who have been engaged to assist with this meeting. They have provided unique login and voting credentials to those members who have registered for the meeting. All voting will take place online on the platform in a secure and accurate manner. At the close of voting, results will be automatically calculated and provided to the meeting. Members also have an opportunity to ask questions using the voting platform. In line with IFLA's meeting protocol, please include your name and the organization you are representing when submitting a question. Anonymous questions will not be addressed. So, on stage with me in the meeting, we have Sharon Mimis, IFLA's Secretary General, who will provide the annual report and who is speaking from the auditorium in the National Library of the Netherlands. Stuart Hamilton as IFLA Treasurer. He will speak to the accounts and will be present online from Ireland. We also have on stage Martin Wade, IFLA's parliamentarian, who will advise on procedural matters during the meeting and is in the Netherlands. And Helen Mandel, IFLA's Deputy Secretary General, who will be assisting with questions and comments submitted online. Before we move on, we would like to undertake a practice vote to ensure that everyone is comfortable with the voting platform. The practice motion is that the day of the FIFA World Cup football final should be declared as a global public holiday. We will now do this via a formal vote. Please stay with us while the vote takes place. Voting members, you have 90 seconds to make your vote, starting now. The motion will appear on your device.
There are 30 seconds remaining.
Well, it's good we're doing a practice vote because Leslie will practice timing. We'll say the 90 seconds is up now, and the voting has now closed. Now, can we go back to the results of the vote? There we are. So the result is we have 470 in favor, we have 316 against, and we have 129 abstentions. It seems that the technology is working for us, and so we can move on. I will ask the Secretary General for any apologies.
I have received no apologies for the meeting, but if you have been asked to submit an apology on behalf of another member, please add these in the Q&A or indicate in the auditorium by raising your hand. Helen, are there any? So if there are no apologies, we will move on.
Perfect. So let's move to item 2, the establishment of a quorum. At the beginning of the meeting, there were 128 national and international association members who have paid their fees for 2026 and are not in arrears. For a quorum, we need 50% of this number plus 1, namely 65. At this time, 73 national and international associations have registered. We have quorum. Thank you, members. A quorum has been established. Business will be transacted and implemented on the basis of a majority of votes in favor. I now move on to item 3, the adoption of the agenda, and I will ask the Secretary General to introduce the agenda.
Madam Chair, the agenda for the General Assembly meeting was sent to all members in good standing in June, as required by the statutes. The business of the meeting shall normally be limited to those items appearing on the agenda issued with the convening notice for the meeting. Only items of an exceptional and urgent character may be added at the discretion of the President and with the consent of the majority of the members present or represented. Such resolutions have not been received for this meeting.
I now call for a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the agenda. I call for a mover. You may do this by adding your name and organization to the Q&A.
We have a mover.
And I call for a seconder for the motion.
No. We have a
Would
second.
someone? Thank you, Helen. So Helen, you'll let us know who the mover and seconder are?
Yes, the motion is as presented is moved by Wilma van Wezenbeek and seconded by Nick Boxen.
I will now ask if the meeting adopts the agenda. We will do this via a formal vote. Please stay with us while the vote takes place. Voting members, you have 90 seconds to make your vote. The motion will appear on your device.
There are 30 seconds remaining.
The vote is now closed. The result is 949 for in favor, 0 against, and 2 abstentions. The agenda is adopted. And now, the minutes, we will move on to item 4, the minutes of the previous meeting held in Astana, Kazakhstan, as a hybrid meeting on the 20th of August, 2025.
The draft minutes of the meeting held in Astana in 2025 have been distributed to all members with the General Assembly papers. These were distributed by email and are on the IFLA website with the convening notice.
Are there any corrections?
We have no corrections in the chat, in the question and answers, or in the room.
So as there are no corrections, I will call for a mover and a seconder for the motion that the minutes of the IFLA General Assembly held in Astana on the 20th of August, 2025 be approved. I call for a mover.
We have a mover.
I call for a seconder.
We have a seconder. The motion as presented is moved by Wilma van Wezenbeek and seconded by Nick Boxham.
We will approve the minutes via a formal vote. Please stay with us while the vote takes place. Voting members, you have 90 seconds to make your vote now. The motion will appear on your device.
There are 30 seconds remaining.
The vote is now closed. The result is 854 in favor, 0 against, and 80 abstentions. The minutes of the General Assembly held in a hybrid format on 20th August 2025 are approved. Thank you. At this point, we will remember colleagues who have been active in IFLA who have passed away since August 2025. Anish Galefi, Italy. Sandra Del Conterbia, United States of America. Philip Pacey, United Kingdom. Miss Tuhiro Oda, Japan. Liz McGettigan, United Kingdom. Paul Eris, United Kingdom. I request that you rise if you are able for a moment of silence as we remember all the colleagues who have died during the past year and recall with gratitude their contributions to our activities and to the library and information profession. Please be seated. Thank you. I know our colleagues around the world will be remembering these wonderful individuals and contributors that we've lost over the past year. And now I would like to provide my report as president of IFLA about our work over the past year, my first year, the first year of my presidential term. When I took over the role of president, I have to tell you my life changed. I got a lot more time with Sharon and a little bit less with my family, as well as taking on even more 6 a.m. calls before, so a little bit less time in my bed. Being president is a busy role, and it comes on top of a busy day job, but it is absolutely worth it. As president, you become a sort of personification of IFLA, the voice of those inside our community and outside who want to hear from on an international level. I received many invitations to speak, to participate in conferences, to send messages, to write articles, and I am flattered by them. And, of course, respond positively to as many of these as I can. There is in our field such a strong recognition of the importance of working internationally. Libraries are all about making a strength out of a potential tension between local and global, between providing services, spaces, programs, and collections that respond to our immediate community's needs and all the individuals that make up those communities, drawing on all the energy and resources that come from being connected to a worldwide knowledge ecosystem, and of course, a profession of millions. The role of IFLA is to give shape to the idea of international librarianship. At our best, we are the place where great ideas are shared, refined through exchange and discussion, and crucially, are picked up by leaders at all levels to be turned into even better library services, and so improving people's lives and supporting them to be successful. At our best, we are the organization that can build bridges between the library field and our partners, exploring how we can mobilize our field's immense passion, commitment, and insight to achieve our common goals. As president, you become the face of this. However much you might rather insist that it should be the amazing volunteers and the incredible IFLA team that are actually doing the work, so many of whom are with us today. When I am invited to speak or to write, I always try to celebrate these contributions, to do what I can to increase the impact of your work by ensuring that as many people as possible are aware of your incredible contributions. In this, I want, of course, to exercise my privilege to add my own vision, my own framing, and this is encapsulated in the theme for my presidency, Be Bold. Our field has many reasons for boldness. We have a fantastic track record that we will be celebrating in our centenary year in 2027. An excellent reputation among allies, partners, and communities as one of the rare institutions and professions that still retains high levels of trust in society. This is a very valuable commodity. The global network with an instinct for collaboration and deep skills base that are community driven. We cannot hide this light under a bushel. We are in a time when the politics of information and knowledge have never been moving faster, never been so consequential, and never been so closely followed. We need to be in those discussions, unafraid to stand up, to call out situations which undermine the goal of inclusive societies, engaging with and powered by knowledge. We need to be bold in our advocacy, our outreach, our partnership building. We are also at a time when change is an inevitability, but also an opportunity. To seize it, we need to be ready to innovate, to be bold with ourselves, and to be ready to try new things, and then share lessons learned with others. I underline my gratitude to all of you, as well as those who've made me feel so welcome on my travels as president. Over the past year, I've been honored by the hospitality of friends and colleagues in 4 of IFLA's 6 regions. In Asia, Oceania, which of course on its own represents more than half the world's population, I was thrilled to speak at the World Library Forum in Beijing in May, and to get a glimpse of the huge investment China is making in its incredible libraries, and then went back again for the International Conference on Archives Management in New Taipei City in June. I joined our president-elect, Tapaya Parangatang, for the opening of the Terua building in Aotearoa, New Zealand, which pushed new boundaries in promoting inclusive and respectful approaches to preservation and access. I was also present virtually at the celebrations of the National 30th anniversary of the National Library Board of Singapore, a masterpiece from my friend Jean Tan, that I know we're looking closely at as we finalize the preparations for IFLA's centenary, as well as to contribute to conferences organized by the Korean Library Association, the Japan Library Association, the Kazakh Library Association, the Iranian Information and Library Association, and the Philippines Librarians Association. In the Middle East and North Africa, my thanks go to our Qatari colleagues for their great welcome at the Qatar National Library for our workshop at the end of last year on developing and delivering our partnerships strategy in the regions. I was thrilled to visit the Library Commission of Saudi Arabia with Sharon and see their fabulous networks of cultural houses that are being created in their public libraries. And I joined the Emirates Library Forum in January online, and also contributed to the Qatar National Library's Great Libraries Lead event. For Europe, I was, of course, in the Netherlands in December for our governing board meetings, but I also came back for a great series of visits in February, including speaking alongside the president of the European Research Council at an event in Brussels, and meeting colleagues at the European Parliament Library. I went to the UK, working with Sharon on early preparations for next year's Congress, and had a day in The Hague, meeting with great Dutch colleagues. I've shared messages with the Hungarian and Turkish colleagues as well. In my own region, I was thrilled to welcome colleagues from across North America to our workshop, with an emphasis on the work in Toronto in April. Thank you so much once again to Mo Hassini Ara for his wonderful welcome at the Toronto Public Library. I always enjoy the sessions organized at our North American Regional Division at the Ontario Library Association Super Conference in January, and I salute anyone who chooses to travel to Canada in the winter. And just last week, I was in Chicago with Sharon at the ALA annual conference to help celebrate their 150th anniversary, which was an incredible experience. I mention only 4 of IFLA's regions. In the last year, I've been able to join colleagues in Sub-Saharan Africa and the Latin America and the Caribbean remotely, but I am happy to say that I will be able to visit both in the coming year. October will see me visiting the National Library of Norway and then attending the Stellenbosch University Library Forum in South Africa. I am delighted to announce that following on the success of its spring 2026 workshop in Toronto, the IFLA Governing Board will hold its spring 2027 meeting in Latin America and Caribbean region, hosted by my dear colleague Alejandro Santa at the Library of Congress of Argentina. And I agree with Roxana Huanmen, chair of LAC region, that this will be a valuable opportunity to strengthen dialogue, foster collaboration, and further position the contribution of the LAC region within IFLA's global work. This work with the field, doing what I can to promote the work that all of you do, is, as I have said, one of the responsibilities of being the IFLA president, but not the only one. When I took on the role last August, I was also conscious of taking up the baton from my dear colleague and friend, Vicki McDonald, who set a significant, if daunting, precedent. IFLA has come a long way over the last 3 years. We are stronger together, both when it comes to structure, culture, and capacity. And I have been honored to take forward some of the work that Vicki started. The development of our volunteer code of conduct, led by our president-elect Tapaya under the previous term, has been followed with the creation of the Advisory Committee on Ethics, charged with making it live as a document. With our upcoming Congress, we will be putting into practice the recommendations that came from all of you during the Willock review process that I had a chance to lead under Vicki's presidency. And in turn, Vicki has been so generous with her time and brought our governance structure health check to completion under my presidency, sharing the results at our April governing board meeting. I mentioned culture, and I have to make sure to continue the much more regular and direct forms of communication between myself and our members and volunteers, complementing our newsletter, website, and social media with a more personal take on what is going on at IFLA and why it matters. Our Finance and Risk Committee, chaired by our Treasurer, Stuart Hamilton, has overseen ongoing improvements on how IFLA does its finances and manages risks, as well as how we report to members. A significant amount of time and effort still goes into our relationship with Stitching IFLA Global Libraries, the charity set up in 2016 to manage the significant grant generously offered by the Gates Foundation to support IFLA's work. The Project Funding Endowment Agreement, PFE, signed in June 2025 specifies that funds should be spent only on IFLA's work. The governing board's position is clear. Money provided to support IFLA's work must be transparently, responsibly, and for the benefit of IFLA members and the wider library field. Our objective is consistent: to ensure that as much money as possible provided by the Gates Foundation is available to support IFLA's work, and to use it with greater flexibility, stronger strategic alignment, and with a sharper focus on impact. As we approach the end of the legacy grant provided by the Gates Foundation, Sustainable Futures Journey will provide a framework for the ambitious and yet sustainable program our board has set itself for this mandate. This builds on, and indeed is only possible because of all the work done over the past 3 years. Sustainability is the key word here. Clearly, there is a financial sustainability question, and we need to look both at maximizing revenues and ensuring that we are using our resources in the most effective way possible. Ultimately, financial sustainability is an indicator of broader organizational and operational sustainability. We will do what the library field and communities we serve need us to do going into our second century. This is a complex, multi-dimensional question. The different dimensions also interact. It's sort of like 4D chess. Our work here falls into three broad categories: simplification and alignment, sustainability and partnerships, and strategic delivery. And work is well underway. Under simplification and alignment, we have two ambitious reviews underway of our membership model and volunteer model, led respectively by Jan Richards and Anya Feltruter, with Julia Konopega, Zolnir excuse me, sorry, Julia. The recommendations that they will make will need to help create an IFLA that in 2030 reflects the priorities and needs of libraries globally, as well as those of our allies, partners, and communities. To do this, we will absolutely be relying on your inputs through surveys, consultations, and more. Those of you coming to our Congress will have the opportunity to engage with them. Spanning this work will be a project on governance futures to be led by President-elect Tapia. This will very much take up from Vicky's work on the governance structure health check, where it leaves off, and will have the key responsibility of ensuring coherence across all of our proposals. While many of the health check's recommendations can be implemented easily through our handbook and internal processes, of course with full communication, others will require changes to statutes and will be considered as part of a wider look at our structures and processes. Beyond these initiatives, we are also supporting Sharon, our Secretary General, in her work to maximize the operational effectiveness of our headquarters and to develop an organizational design that facilitates this. Under sustainability and partnerships, we will be completing the process that I had the honor to lead in the last term, focused on our Congress model. That work has given us impetus to explore new models and structures, providing us with valuable lessons as we look to the future. The final piece of the picture is to explore our financial model, learning from peers and analysis in order to ensure our Congresses are accessible and sustainable into the future. And I am thrilled to say that our Treasurer, Stuart Hamilton, is taking this work forward. Other projects in this category focus on updating our approach to partnerships, including corporate partnerships, and revising how we do fundraising, making the most of our upcoming centenary. Our headquarters team have also invested in business development capacity and have been active in reaching out to the divisions and members to engage them in gathering ideas and developing bids. Finally, under strategic delivery, we have the next phase of our work on trends and futures. This will draw on our 2024 trend report, but with a major focus on mobilizing our field. The centenary is a fantastic opportunity to engage our members and partners alike, not just in developing new ideas about our own future and direction, but in building skills and attitudes that can enable resilience and innovation across the library field. So look out for more to come on this. I'm also looking forward to participating in an event in the context of the UN High-Level Political Forum next week in New York with Loida Garcia Febo. This will be an opportunity to make the case for recognition and inclusion of libraries in development frameworks. This work is timely. Next year, at almost the same time as our centenary, the process of deciding what will follow the Sustainable Development Goals will kick off. And we want to make the most of this opportunity to underline why libraries, knowledge, information, and culture matter, extending our allies, partnerships, and impact. A major contribution to this will come from our Impact and Innovation Fund, overseen by my colleagues, Erdogol, Simon, and Sylvia Staslova. The call saw a great level of interest, and the quality of applications says very positive things about the future of our field. The three winners from Lithuania, Qatar, and Nigeria will be carrying out projects not only to make a difference today, but also to demonstrate to partners how libraries, with the right support, can have impact and achieve shared goals. Outside of this, HQ colleagues are keeping an overview of plans for our centenary, as well, of course, as continuing to deliver and support our volunteer committees in delivering on our strategy. There is a lot going on and still a lot to do, but I definitely feel that we are living by our theme, be bold. Il se passe beaucoup de choses. Il reste encore beaucoup à faire. J'ai vraiment le sentiment que nous incarnons pleinement mon thème. Soyons audacieux, be bold. Dans le monde d'aujourd'hui, le changement est inévitable. C'est à nous de considérer ce changement comme une moyen pour les bibliothèques de tirer parti des opportunités qui se présentent, de les influencer et de saisir à plein main. Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Miigwech. And now I'm happy to invite IFLA's Secretary General, Sharon Mimis, to take the floor to present IFLA's annual report. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Leslie, and I'm delighted to present IFLA's 2025 annual report covering the first full year of our 2024 to 29 strategy. And together we are making a real difference, growing impact and building stronger foundations for the future. 2025 was not without its challenges, but we should be encouraged and proud of what we have achieved together. I'm going to structure my presentation around the 3 impact areas and our work to future-proof the Federation. IFLA's first impact area is about connecting the library field globally. IFLA is unique in its global reach, bringing together information professionals, libraries and associations from every region, sector and type of library. Through our membership, professional units and volunteer networks, we share knowledge, learn from one another and spark amazing ideas. And that is the strength of IFLA, global connection, generous exchange and, to echo Leslie and Vicky, a field that becomes stronger and bolder together. And what a year 2025 was. We had the World Library and Information Congress in Astana, our first congress in Central Asia. It brought together 1,585 participants from 98 countries, 46% of whom were attending for the first time. It was also a strong year for our basic bread and butter work, standards. 5 new or fully updated standards, more in the last 2 years than in the previous 6 combined. The IFLA Journal published 75 articles by 175 contributors from 49 countries across more than 1,200 pages. The repository now holds more than 7,000 items, preserving key outputs and IFLA's collective intellectual property, including some remarkable historical archives that tell the story of IFLA's first century. We published, as Leslie said, the Volunteer Code of Conduct, led by our then Professional Council Chair and now President-elect, Tapaya Paringate. It provides a shared framework for respectful, fair and inclusive behaviour across committees, governance and events. And of course, membership, the beating heart of the Federation. Members contribute not just fees, of course, but also volunteers, ideas, expertise, legitimacy. And 2025 was a good year. After a 7% decline in 2024, strategic campaigns helped deliver a 4% overall increase in membership in 2025. We welcome members from 5 new countries, Papua New Guinea, Tuvalu, Bahrain, Burkina Faso and Eswatini, and ran member orientation sessions to support engagement. We constantly strive to improve the member and volunteer experience, because when our community thrives, the global voice of libraries grows louder. 2025 was also an election year, always a key moment in the life of the Federation. Elections allow members to nominate, vote, shape IFLA's leadership and open the door to new volunteer opportunities. Turnout in 2025 was over 50%, with the highest number of competitive elections in memory. 24 sections and all 6 regional committees held contests. Latin America and the Caribbean and Middle East and North Africa stood out for engagement, and we saw greater regional diversity overall. Progress was made, but there's still plenty more to do. The member quotes show what this feels like in practice. IFLA builds leadership, collaboration, knowledge, and connections. And I'll give you just a short moment to read some of these quotes. The second impact area of IFLA's strategy is about influence, advocacy, and partnerships. IFLA connects the library field with the wider world, challenging outdated stereotypes, building recognition of the unique contribution libraries make to building a better world, and creating partnerships with those who share our goals, because together we can achieve so much more than any of us could alone. This is how libraries become visible as part of the infrastructure of change. So what did that look like internationally in 2025? IFLA used its unique role as the global voice for libraries to shape international decisions and create opportunities for our members and volunteers globally. At UNESCO's Mondiacult conference, we highlighted libraries as cultural infrastructure to ministers from across the globe and helped launch the updated Culture 2030 goal proposal for a standalone Sustainable Development Goal on culture. IFLA is a founding and leading campaign member. Librarians were also present at the World Summit on Social Development, G20 Social Summit, and Internet Governance Forum, engaging decision makers directly. For the first time in memory, a librarian, IFLA Governing Board member Lisa Hinchliffe, addressed the UN General Assembly in the context of the World Summit on Information Society. And we advanced work with the Universal Postal Union. At COP30, the 30th UN Climate Change Conference, IFLA made significant progress in the climate empowerment agenda. We were invited to join 2 working groups linked to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change Process, the UNFFC, building on our leading role in the UNESCO report on greening communities and growing recognition of the importance of information integrity in the response to climate change. Elsewhere, we advanced our engagement with the wider UN Sustainable Development Agenda, including a new report on knowledge and information in voluntary national reviews, and saw progress at WIPO towards meaningful outputs on copyright exceptions for libraries. We also connected global and national mobilization through UNESCO's endorsement of the updated IFLA School Library Manifesto, giving the field both practical guidance and an advocacy tool. Advocacy changes conditions for libraries, influencing policy, opening funding routes, and showing the public value of investing in libraries. Advocacy also helps secure funded programs for the global library field. Knowledge Rights 21, supported by Arcadia and delivered with Liber and Spark Europe, entered phase 2 in 2025, ensuring libraries and their users are heard on digital access, copyright, collections, contracts, and open access. KR21 has supported advocacy in more than 20 European countries, with outputs and lessons benefiting libraries in Europe and globally. The Gates Legacy Grant continues to enable work on stronger regional fields, a culture of impact, advocacy, leaders, and trends. As Leslie noted, the Gates Legacy Grant is administered by SIGIL, and the June 2025 agreement now enables us to use that money more strategically and with greater impact. We are grateful to our other partners, including the Gulbenkian Foundation on Media and Information Literacy and the European Union supporting our work on intellectual property for open science. Partnerships enable us to deliver more for the global library field, and that's why we are investing in partnership development to create more opportunities for members and volunteers everywhere. Our work here in Impact Area 3 is about building the capacity of libraries and associations to connect, serve communities well, and lead change. With the right skills, structures, and support, libraries improve lives, support policy goals, and help societies navigate complex information questions. In 2025, this meant linking capacity building more closely with partnerships and sustainability. We built on the late 2024 workshop in Latin America and the Caribbean, used the Regional Council to build partnership insight, and we mapped opportunities in LAC and Sub-Saharan Africa. We researched what library associations need to be effective and what enables library fields to take on major partnerships. Our regional offices are vital. In Doha, our MENA regional office at Qatar National Library helped identify needs and next steps that could not be developed just here from The Hague alone. Our Management of Library Associations section also continued to focus on association sustainability. Skills development focused on evaluation and impact, with global impact trainers helping libraries plan for positive difference and opening routes to projects and partnerships. Futures literacy is central to our centenary plans, and we published an expanded trend report with scenarios and techniques, produced tools for IFLA units, and published the skills agenda authored by emerging leader grantees. In Astana, emerging leader grantees explored leadership, surveyed provision globally, and identified weak signals, if you like, trends that are not quite yet trends. And we also supported library system development in Armenia and in the Bahamas. We improved data, appearance, and the accessibility of the library map of the world, a hugely valued advocacy tool. In 2026, our investment in regional business development will help libraries build the networks and skills to secure grants and partnerships and to deliver on them. I think the quotes on this slide capture the value of regional engagement, stronger collaboration, capacity building, and advocacy. And I'll give you a short moment just to read some of them. I want to finish with future-proofing, the work that determines how strongly IFLA can deliver in the years ahead. This is about giving IFLA the strategy, systems, and financial resilience to deliver over the long term. It means making clear choices on sustainability, costs, governance, digital infrastructure, and evidence so that we can invest in what matters most. Leslie's covered the Sustainable Futures journey. Operationally, it means deciding where IFLA must adapt, simplify, strengthen, or change to prepare for its next century. Volunteer-led reviews of sections and special interest groups helped us celebrate good practice and take decisions where groups were no longer sufficiently active. We improved finance processes, project bidding and delivery, and received, of course, a positive, unqualified audit opinion. And we also published the strategy baseline survey. We upgraded the repository, brought the IFLA library into a single portal, strengthened website resilience, and moved towards digital object identifiers for key publications. We also strengthened preservation and conservation through a new hub at the University of Cape Town. Centenary preparations gathered pace with formal celebrations from August 2026 and listening, planning, and consultation already well underway. The Customer Relationship Management System, or CRM, is part of a wider digital transformation, upgrading and investing to improve membership, contacts, and community building. Taken together, this is strategic and financial sustainability in practice. Stronger systems, focused choices, and greater resilience for the field we serve. So what does this tell us overall? Well, 2025 shows progress, stronger connections, stronger advocacy, deeper investment in capacity and futures, and a sharper focus on sustainability. IFLA is in good health, but we are realistic about the sustainability pressures facing all membership associations. We need to manage costs and efficiencies while diversifying and growing income. The Sustainable Futures journey is about keeping IFLA effective, relevant, and financially resilient. And the final tranche of the Gates legacy will be received from SIGIL in 2027. And that's why income growth and diversification are central to IFLA's sustainability strategy. The good news is that we are seeing some encouraging results. So let me close with thanks and optimism. Thank you to our members, volunteers, partners, governing board, and the fabulous headquarters team. As we look to IFLA's second century, libraries matter more than ever for informed, resilient, and inclusive societies. We know there are challenges ahead, but IFLA is in good health, our strategy is delivering, and together we have the purpose, people, and foundations to make our second century count for libraries, communities, and the right of people everywhere to learn, discover, and participate. So thank you. And my final advice is, let's listen to our exceptional President, Leslie Weir, and let us be bold together. Thank you very much. Madam President, I conclude this report to the meeting and would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Secretary General. Now we will open the floor to questions. So if you're online, please put your questions in the Q&A with your name and organization, and we will also address questions from the floor. We're just giving everyone a moment to frame their questions.
We have no questions from the floor and currently no questions online.
All right. Well, thank you, Helen. And thank you, Sharon. Obviously, your report covered every possible aspect and you answered the questions before they were asked. So thank you very much. So if there are no questions, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge our donors, hosts, sponsors, and partners who add so much to what IFLA is able to accomplish. Our donors take different forms, from those institutions that support our regional offices and language centers to libraries and institutions who annually provide financial support. The National Library of the Netherlands in the Netherlands, National Library Board Singapore, University of South Africa, Pretoria, Biblioteca del Congreso de la Nazione, Argentina, National Library of Qatar. We also have donors, Biblioteca Alexandrina, Egypt, the National Library of China, and Sheikh Anta Diop University in Senegal. As well, we have Libraries and Archives Canada, National Library of Australia, National Library Board of Singapore, and the National Library Service of Barbados. In terms of donors and project partners, we have Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Stitching IFLA Foundation, Gold Leaf, Arcadia Fund, Gulbenkian Foundation, European Union. And then, of course, we have our sponsors. And I would like to acknowledge all of our major sponsors who've played such a large part in the success of the Congress in Astana, but who also support IFLA's overall work and goals. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your belief in our work does not just fund it, it strengthens it. So thank you for your ongoing support. We are enormously grateful. And let's all have a big round of applause.
IFLA may be approaching its centenary in 2027, but some of our member associations are already celebrating major anniversaries in 2026. So please join me in celebrating the following anniversaries. Canadian Federation of Library Associations, CFLA, 10 years. Canadian School Libraries, CSL, 10 years. Comité français international bibliothèque et documentation, CFIBD, 30 years. Arlis Norden, 40 years. Arab Federation for Libraries and Information, AFLI, 40 years. Canadian Association of Research Libraries, CARL, 50 years. UKB, Dutch University Libraries and National Library, 50 years. Slovak Librarians and Libraries Association, 80 years. Association of Austrian Librarians, VÖB, 80 years. And it's so encouraging to see the continuous engagement of librarians in associations to help develop the profession and libraries in their countries. But here are some even more extraordinary anniversaries. Association des Bibliothécaires de France, ABF, 120 years. East Kazakhstan Libraries Association, 130 years. And the American Library Association, ALA, 150 years. IFLA congratulates all these associations for their wonderful achievements and hopes that they all take a moment for reflection and celebration. And I think we can give a round of applause as well.
So I will now invite Stuart Hamilton to present the Treasurer's Report on the annual accounts for 2025. Over to you, Stuart.
Thank you, Leslie. I have the privilege to present the Treasurer's Report on IFLA's 2025 annual accounts as endorsed by the Governing Board at its meeting in April. Let me begin with the key points. I am pleased to report that the auditors have again issued an unqualified audit opinion. In other words, the 2025 financial statements present a true and fair view of IFLA's financial position. The auditor's positive view of our accounts and the underlying processes provided continued confidence in the robustness of our financial management. We achieved a break-even result in what has been a clear transition year for IFLA. Despite significant changes in funding flows, including the integration of the Arcadia-funded Knowledge Rights 21 or KR21 project into our accounts, and the introduction of a new funding model with Stichting IFLA Global Libraries, or SIGL, the overall result remains stable and closely aligned with our approved budget. Importantly, IFLA continues to maintain a solid financial base. Our general reserves remain stable at around €1.6 million. As in previous years, this provides a strong buffer to support operational continuity and ensures we can continue delivering for our members and the wider library field. We also saw a significant increase in project income during 2025, and this is largely driven by the full integration of the KR21 programme into IFLA's accounts, alongside continued delivery of other externally funded initiatives. This reflects the confidence that funders place in IFLA as a trusted partner. And finally, under the new Project Funding and Endowment, or PFE agreement with SIGL, we received funding to support our activities. Now, not all of this funding was spent in 2025. The remaining portion is carried forward and will be used in the coming years in line with agreed objectives. And this reflects a more structured, multi-year approach that strengthens our financial planning and sustainability. Let's now take a closer look at the 2025 Statement of Income and Expenditure. Full details are available in the financial statements, but I'd like to highlight here some key elements. On the income side, our total recognised income increased significantly in 2025, reaching 4.4 million euros compared to 3.1 million euros in 2024. This increase is primarily driven by the full integration of the KR21 programme into IFLA's accounts and higher funding received from SIGL under the new agreement. Income from membership remained broadly stable at 824,321 euros, despite a modest fee increase. This reflects a stable membership base and continued engagement from our global community. Funding received from SIGL amounted to 3 million euros in 2025 under the new agreed model, and as mentioned, a portion of this funding remained unspent at year-end and has been carried forward as restricted funding to support future activities. Moving on to expenditure, overall expenditure increased in 2025 to 4.34 million euros. This rise is mainly linked to the increased scale of project activities, including KR21 and other externally funded programs now fully reflected in our accounts. In addition, staff costs increased during the year, driven by pension adjustments, retroactive charge related to sickness insurance, provisions for accrued leave, and costs previously covered under project funding. At the same time, though, legal expenses decreased compared to 2024. Overall, the increase in both income and expenditure reflects a higher level of operational activity, while the organisation maintained a balanced financial result. As part of our due diligence, we are seeking clarification from SIGL on expenditure as reported in its recently published 2025 financial statements. Under the PFE, funds held by SIGL may only be used for IFLA's work and modest operational costs. We will continue to pursue this in line with our commitment to transparency and to ensuring that the Gates Legacy Grant is used for its intended purposes. Now, focusing on the future, IFLA's President and Secretary General have already mentioned our ambitious Sustainable Futures Journey projects, and I'd like to end with some reflections on IFLA's priorities for 2026 and beyond. Building long-term financial sustainability remains a key priority for us. The steps taken in 2025, including the new multi-year funding model agreed with SIGL and the strengthening of financial management and planning, these provide a more stable foundation for the years ahead. At the same time, continued focus is needed to ensure that IFLA maintains a resilient and sustainable financial model as major legacy funding programs evolve. A second priority will be to strengthen and diversify partnerships. This will be central to our approach going forward. The successful continuation of the KR21 programme, with positive evaluation and renewed support from our funder Arcadia, demonstrates the confidence that partners are placing in IFLA. Building on this, we will continue to develop new partnerships while strengthening existing ones, ensuring a broad and balanced funding base. Finally, delivering impact through programs and global engagement remains at the heart of IFLA's work. The expansion of project-funded activities in 2025, together with investments in monitoring, evaluation, and community engagement, position IFLA well to demonstrate impact and relevance. This will be especially important as we look ahead to IFLA's centenary in 2027 and beyond. So to summarise, first of all, what you have in your hands is the externally audited full version of the 2025 accounts, providing a true and fair view of IFLA's financial position. Second, I can confirm that IFLA's financial management, internal controls, and governance processes remain robust and effective, supporting transparency and accountability across the organisation. And third, IFLA remains financially stable, with a solid reserve position, a balanced result, and a stronger foundation for long-term sustainability, supported by multi-year funding arrangements and continued project activity. With this, I conclude the annual report of the Treasurer for 2025, and am happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart, for that excellent and quite complete report. And now we have an opportunity for people to ask questions. So if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A along with your name and organization, and we will also take questions from the floor.
I have a question on online. The question is from Sylvia Ernhagen, Secretary General of the Swedish Library Association. She says, "Thanks for your clear presentation, Stuart. During the meeting, we've heard that the Gates Foundation funds managed by SIGL are dedicated to IFLA's work. I was therefore wondering if you could provide an overview of how much of this funding SIGL has used so far and what it has been spent on."
Thanks for the question, Sylvia. I'll talk to the 2025 accounts that we're discussing today. As per the PFE agreement, SIGL was incorporated for the express purpose of administering a grant awarded in support of IFLA's activities for the global library field. And the PFE agreement states that aside from operational expenses, SIGL will not spend grant amounts on anything other than IFLA. So we are trying to understand SIGL's own expenditure in relation to the IFLA grant. IFLA's grant in 2025 was 3 million euros, but according to the published financial statements, SIGL's own expenditure was around 600,000 euros to administer that grant. So we're trying to understand more clearly what that difference is about, and our communications in this regard are ongoing.
Thank you, Stuart. Do we have any other questions, either from the floor or in the Q&A?
There are no questions from the floor. And there are no questions online.
In that case, there being no further questions, I call for a mover and a seconder that the annual accounts for 2025 be approved. So I call for a mover.
We have a mover.
I call for a seconder for the motion.
We have a seconder as well. The motion as presented is moved by Wilma van Wezenbeek and seconded by Nick Boxham.
Thank you, Helen. We will approve the annual accounts via a formal vote. Please stay with us while the vote takes place. Voting members have 90 seconds to make their vote. Now the motion will appear on your device.
There are 30 seconds remaining.
The voting has closed. The result is 874 in favor, 0 against, and 44 abstentions. The annual accounts are approved. Congratulations, Stuart. Thank you. The rules and procedures relating to motions and resolutions at Assembly meetings are included in the IFLA General Assembly papers. We now move to the first of the official motions in the agenda. I invite the Secretary General to present the rationale and the motion to approve the holding of the next General Assembly in August 2027. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you. The background is that the legislation of the Netherlands, as stated in the Dutch Civil Code Part 2, Sections 48 and 49, requires that the Governing Board must submit an annual report and annual financial statements to the General Assembly within 6 months of the end of the financial year, unless the General Assembly has extended this period. The period may be extended on account of special circumstances for no more than 4 months. This is reflected in Article 8.2 of the statutes. IFLA's financial year ends on 31st of December, and its General Assembly usually meets during the Congress, normally in August, more than 6 months later. The General Assembly must therefore authorise the Governing Board to present the annual report and financial statements at the next Congress. IFLA's lawyers advise that this authorisation has to be given every year. A blanket authorisation is not permissible. The Governing Board calls upon the General Assembly to vote on the following motion regarding the next General Assembly in August 2027. To authorise the Governing Board to convene the General Assembly to coincide with the next IFLA World Library and Information Congress, normally held in August 2027. In the case of an unavoidable delay, the General Assembly may be convened at a later date, but no later than the 31st of October 2027.
Thank you, Sharon. I call for a mover and a seconder for the motion. So I'm calling for the mover.
We have a mover from the Canadian School Libraries Association.
I call for a seconder.
We have a seconder. We have many people coming in online, President. So the first one is from the Association of Research Libraries. So the motion as presented is moved by Joseph Jeffrey from the Canadian School Libraries and seconded by Andrew Pace from ARL.
Thank you very much, Helen, and thank you to our mover and seconder. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion?
We have no one online or in the room.
In that case, we will now move to approve the motion via a formal vote. Please stay with us while the vote takes place. Voting members have 90 seconds to make your vote now. The motion will appear on your device.
There are 30 seconds remaining.
Thank you, Helen. The vote has closed. The result is 904 in favor, 0 against, and 7 abstentions. The motion is approved. Thank you. Excuse me, thank you. Now, this brings us to the end of the General Assembly. What I hope is that through the presentations today, you have seen how the governing board and the incredible IFLA team are focused on the future of the Federation. I look forward to seeing many of you at WILIC 2026 in Busan in just a month's time. Although I hope you're also planning to join us in London next year as we celebrate the IFLA centenary and the next 100 years of our Federation. Thank you so much for your attendance today and for your ongoing support. Merci beaucoup à tout le monde. Et puis, au revoir, goodbye, and wishing everyone a great month of July.
Thank you.